A new Gage video, a new Gage video, a new Gage video, a new Gage video. It's a Gage video. I'm not great with introductions to videos. This is sort of a different one too because it's a little ranty. It's going to be on the fly, off the cuff. It's going to be fun, I guess. The reason I'm doing one of these is that there's over here you have your mildly familiar and almost adults, where I say practically and set up practically nothing, and then I make a video out of it. Over here you have the Gauge Your Interest, which is very, very scripted. And so I wanted to meet in the middle, and so here we are in the middle, and I'm just rambling along. I'm honestly not very comfortable on camera with an essay. You know that hurts my feelings, so that's part of why I'm doing this video, to get a little more comfortable in front of the camera. And yeah, well, without further ado, what are we talking about today? Well, I think something that is on everyone's mind is, especially with the current events going around the world, everyone's a little bit on edge. So I wanted to talk about Luigi's Mansion 3 and Gremlins, which I don't have a physical copy of. More specifically, Gremlins 2. If you're not familiar with the Luigi's Mansion franchise, it all started on the Nintendo, not Nintendo 64. I'm a fake gamer! It all started on the Nintendo GameCube in around 2001. It was one of the launch titles, I believe, for the GameCube. I don't remember. I think Mario Sunshine and Luigi's Mansion were planned to be the same game. It was supposed to be a day thing and a night thing. But they got too big for each other, and they're like, all right, let's just split it up into two games. So we got Luigi's Mansion, which is like this kind of Ghostbustery kind of game where you go around this big old mansion, suck up some ghosts. It's a fun time. I really like the game. It's genuinely pretty scary at times. Maybe nowadays I wouldn't be too frightened of it. But here we are in 2020, and I'm shaking in my boots for this old GameCube game. And for the longest time, people wanted a sequel. And they didn't quite get that till around like 2013, 2014, when Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon came out. And they took out all the boss ghosts. And also, who owns a 3DS? I do, but the joystick is broken because I was playing a lot of Smash Brothers at the time. And I broke it. I apologize. Nintendo, I guess? I'm sorry. I gotta stop saying I guess. I gotta be certain. People like confident YouTubers. So yeah. And so they did like a return to form on Switch. They didn't call it Luigi's Mansion Spooky Hotel. They called it Luigi's Mansion 3. I'm curious, maybe they didn't call it like Hotel Luigi because people might confuse it with Hotel Mario, and that's not a good game. So, yeah, that's my Gage theory. I already made that joke in a Gauge Your Interest. Come on, Gage, get your head into the game. Get your head into the YouTube game. What's that High School Musical song that's like get in the game? Get your head in the game. It might just be get your head in the game. Who knows? I didn't watch High School Musicals, but someone on my Disney Plus did, and I'm trying to figure out who. Luigi's Mansion 3 was one of those games where it just went off the walls crazy. Whereas the first one, you're in just a normal mansion, it's spooky, and you're pretty much sucking up the ghost of this family and servants that all kind of live there. And this one is like, there's a dance level. There's an Egyptian level. It's wacky, it's fun. I like it a lot. It's not a perfect game, but it's definitely one of those games I had a lot of fun with. I would like to play it again in about a year, but we'll see what happens. I said the same thing about Fire Emblem Three Houses, and then he came out for Smash. Mr. Fire Emblem came out for Smash, and I played it again, and it didn't quite grasp me quite the same because no one likes Fire Emblems. Who cares? Never mind. So Luigi's Mansion 3 is this wonderful game. I don't see a lot of people talking about it. And I think that's a shame, because I really like the game. I think it's a fun game. It has cool abilities. You can do a lot of shit. Fun game. I recommend you pick it up if you have a Switch. Maybe wait for it to go on sale for like $40. I don't know if it's a $60 game, but I don't know. But it reminds me of something that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to make a gauge your interest out of it, but I wasn't sure how to go about it. I still might make it in the future, but it's what I like to call kind of a Gremlins 2 sequel. If you're unfamiliar with the Gremlins franchise in general, I'll give you a quick recap. Gremlins 1 came out in 1984, and it was this kind of scary, kind of silly kind of vibe of a horror movie about these little fuzzy things that grow into these horrible monsters that terrorize the city. People use gremlins now as like an adjective for like pesky little things, like, oh, a bunch of gremlins running around, like children, because, you know, kids are bad. I shouldn't say that on YouTube because, you know, like 2/3 of my audience are kids. If I'm being generous with myself, it's probably a lot more. And Warner Brothers, who made it, wanted to make a sequel, and Joe Dante, who was the director of the first one, flat out refused to make another one. And so they went to different directors and different screenwriters. They talked to them. Nothing seemed to be quite working out with that. So they hired Joe Dante back on the condition that he had full creative control, which is rare in any industry. And also tripled the budget. So you got this bozo with creative control, 3 times the money he was initially promised, and he could do whatever he wanted on set. So he just made a bonkers movie.
Sir, is the building on fire? No, that's a false alarm.
So there's all these different levels. There's like a laboratory or a scientist place, if that's how you call it. A scientist lab. You got like TV shows, like a cooking show, like a horror show. And you're just putting these gremlins in all these situations. It's almost like a vignette of Gremlins. And the movie also makes fun of the original concept of Gremlins, like not feeding them after midnight, and you see these snarky guys, and it'd be like, all right, so what if they're in a plane and they switch over time zones? Can you feed them then? It was almost like a parody of the first Gremlins, but it's a direct sequel. It was funny. It had like very out there characters. They brought back the neighbor that they hit with the bulldozer from the first one because they like that actor. Put that actor's name on the screen. That's a good actor right there. I guess my point in making this video was that I would like to see people take a lot more risks when it comes to sequels, like Luigi's Mansion 3 or Gremlins 2. They're kind of the same concept, a giant building with multiple levels of fun. Yeah, what a concept for a game, Gage. Make it fun! And I think other examples of this include like Thor Ragnarok, where the first 2 were kind of Shakespearean, and the last one was kind of like we'll just put them in space and do a bunch of silly things from the 70s and 80s that, who cares? It's Thor. Nobody cares. But we did care because it was weird and funny. And I like that. I think Army of Darkness is another great one. Army of Darkness was Bruce Campbell. The first 2 were kind of horror movies. Well, okay, it was horror comedy, and then it was just a flat-out comedy. And Army of Darkness, he goes back in time to the medieval ages, and he fights zombies. It's great. It's a wonderful little thing. I think Aliens is another one. The first Alien is this kind of close quarters, kind of scary horror kind of thing. There's one alien, and he's really nasty, and everyone is trying to get away from it. Then the next one, they're like, let's just kill a bunch of them, and they have all these aliens just walking around, and they have these Marines with machine guns and stuff, and they shoot them. It's nasty. And I just want to see more wacky sequels. If you have any wacky sequels, put them in the comments down below. It could be like a video game, it could be a movie, it could be a TV sequel series. Possibilities are endless, baby! And yeah, I want to thank all my patrons. I don't do that very often, but I really should. These are their names right here. And thank you so much for watching my channel and being with me on this rambling ride. I'm a rambling man. I'm a rambling guy. A-R-A-M-B-L-I-N. apostrophe oh ramblin'. That's a Steve Martin joke from the Wild and Crazy Guy. No, it was Get Small. That was his comedy album. I'd like to do a Gauge Your Interest on Comedy. Okay, no, later. We can do that later.